After hinting, and blatantly suggesting, to Ethan for the 99th time, I finally dug out an exquisite ring box from his coat pocket. Seeing my radiant smile, he froze momentarily. Was just about to tell you, if they're free this weekend, let's invite your parents to dinner. I thought this was leading up to a marriage proposal. That weekend, I invited my parents and a few close friends, even went all out with my styling, just wanting to look my absolute best and preserve the memory of what I believed would be the most important moment of my life. But until the restaurant closed, he never showed up. Then his ex updated a post on Instagram, a willful princess and her devoted prince. The caption accompanied a picture of two hands wearing matching rings, fingers intertwined. At that moment I felt no anger nor sorrow, only exhaustion. Let our love end here. 1. When I discovered the ring box in his pocket, my heartbeat pounded like a war drum, and my heart, just moments ago filled with grievances, suddenly became as bright as a summer sky. Ethan's gaze darted from the ring box in my hand to my now radiant face. At last, he spoke the words I had long yearned to hear. I thought our 7-year journey of love was finally reaching its happy destination. With fingers crossed, I counted down the especially lengthy remaining time, so excited that I lost sleep night after night. When the long-dreamed-of day finally arrived, I deliberately put on my custom-made wedding dress and spent a long time perfecting an exquisite hairstyle. Both my parents and friends teased me endlessly. We've never seen anyone so eager to get married. It wasn't marriage I was eager for, I simply wanted to marry Ethan, to give our many years of love a perfect conclusion. But things didn't go as planned. Until the restaurant closed, Ethan never showed up, nor did he call. Just as expected, the other shoe that had kept me anxious all day finally dropped. I've lost count of how many times he's abandoned me for Jessica. On my birthday, he had to buy medicine for Jessica's menstrual cramps. On their anniversary, he brought Jessica home, saying her toilet was clogged and she couldn't stay there. Even when I had acute gastroenteritis, he insisted on taking Jessica's dog to the vet first. Time and again, I almost convinced myself I was becoming a saint. But truthfully I just couldn't let go of the 7 years we'd shared and the youth we'd spent together. After soothing my furious parents and sending them away, watching the torrential rain outside, I finally found peace in my decision to let go. I can't remember when it started. He no longer hears what I say, sees what I do, or cares about my feelings. It's as if we've run out of things to say to each other. The phone rang, Ethan's impatient and irritable voice coming through. It's so late. Why aren't you home yet? If you don't come back now, I'm locking the door. I sighed, that inexplicable weariness washing over me once again. Ethan, you made dinner plans with my parents today. I heard his breathing on the other end of the phone seem to lighten slightly, followed by his cautious voice after a long pause. So, where are your parents now? Before I could speak, he abruptly interjected. Chloe, hold on, I've got an important call coming in. Can I call you back in a bit? He seemed in such a hurry that he hung up before I could even respond. I no longer wanted to dwell on whether he genuinely had another call or if it was just an excuse to escape. Looking at my dead phone, I stepped out into the rain, letting the downpour soak my custom-tailored dress and dissolve the 5-hour hairstyle now plastered against my forehead. Suddenly, I remembered that year right after graduation, when Ethan and I waited together at a bus stop in the rain to save on taxi fare. At that moment, he tilted the only sun umbrella entirely over my head. That night, he returned home drenched and feverish from the rain, sneezing while still dreaming. When we have money someday, I'll definitely buy a car to pick up and drop off my treasure through wind and rain, never letting you get wet again. I couldn't tell if it was rain or tears. My vision began to blur. A taxi pulled up beside me, driven by a female driver. Miss, get in. This ride's on me. The woman driver was quite the talker, desperately trying to make conversation. Just as I was paying and about to get out, she called me back. Miss, remember, there's no hardship in this world that lasts forever. Money lost can be earned again, men lost can be replaced, but never let yourself suffer needlessly. Suddenly I realized, her kindness stemmed from concern that I might do something drastic. I waved back gratefully. Yes, from now on, I would no longer shortchange myself. Before bed, I checked my phone. Jessica, Ethan's ex, had updated her Instagram. A princess couldn't sleep, so her prince came specially to tuck her in. In the video, it's Ethan's profile view, gently humming a beautiful melody. Ethan has a wonderful voice and sings beautifully. I remember during low moments, I once pestered him to sing for me. What was it he said then? I'm not a jukebox. If you want to hear something, just pick any song online. Looking back now on our 7 years together, Ethan never showed me much patience. I added both Jessica and Ethan to the blacklist, which was my own peculiar way of wishing them the best as a couple. The next morning when I woke up, Ethan was still asleep beside me. Perhaps due to the shift in my emotions, the profile that once captivated me now seemed utterly dull and uninteresting. I quickly got out of bed, freshened up, and went downstairs to buy breakfast. By the time Ethan got up, my breakfast time was nearly over. He sat at the table, as he had done on many mornings before, waiting for me to bring him the breakfast I had prepared, but I simply washed the dishes and walked right past him. "Where's my breakfast?" I looked back at him, my expression blank. "Starting today, let's each buy our own breakfast. After all, you always said the breakfasts I made didn't suit your taste." Ethan is very picky with food. To take good care of him, I used to wake up early every morning to prepare various breakfast dishes with different flavors, but he would always frown, either complaining it was too hot or saying it was tasteless. Now I've figured it out. Wouldn't those extra sleeping hours or a morning jog be much better uses of my time? I thought he would be angry, but instead he fell silent for a moment and grabbed my arm. "Chloe, yesterday was just too busy with work. I genuinely forgot about the appointment with your parents." Even now, he's still lying and making excuses, but I can't be bothered to play dumb and humor his pathetic performance anymore. "Really, just work?" The words seemed to hit a nerve. "Chloe, what do you mean? You don't trust me? Then tell me what you think I did?" He was about to say more, but I impatiently pulled up Jessica's Instagram screenshot from yesterday. "You didn't actually think I wouldn't recognize you just because your face wasn't showing, did you?" Ethan has a red mole on the back of his right hand, and I have one in the exact same spot on my left. I used to take pride in that, thinking it meant we were soulmates. Ethan's bravado instantly deflated like a punctured balloon. "Yesterday was Jessica's birthday. She doesn't have many friends in this city, so I just went to celebrate with her. I originally planned to pick you up last night, but Jessica suddenly called saying there might have been a burglar breaking into her place." I withdrew my arm and nodded casually. "Oh, that's indeed something you should attend to." He froze abruptly, a flicker of surprise flashing in his eyes, probably having prepared arguments to deal with my tantrum, only to find me breaking the script. "It's my fault for not managing the time properly. I'll definitely go with you to see your parents this weekend." I dabbed some lipstick on my lips and said absent-mindedly, "We'll see." His expression softened slightly, as if responding to my apology, and he awkwardly spoke up. "I have a class reunion today. Come along for some fun." In the past, I would have happily agreed, then done my makeup and dressed up to go with him, because I always believed that loving someone meant integrating into their social circle. Back then, he used to dislike it and never took me to his friends' gatherings. I even made a scene about it once. "What are you going for? You don't even know them." But I've seen more than once on Jessica Instagram that he brought her to hang out with friends. "No thanks, I don't even know them. Besides, our company has team building activities today." I used to cling to him every spare moment I had, so much so that during many years of working, I rarely participated in any company team building activities. Once my entire world revolved around him, while his world apart from me still had video games, ball games, friends, and his ex Jessica. Now I want to step out of that closed world and see the wonders outside. Time and again, his humble pleas for reconciliation were casually rejected by me, until Ethan's patience finally reached its limit. "Go if you want, suit yourself." He slammed the door and left, while I leisurely changed into a beautiful dress. No longer caring about his moods, my own heart felt exceptionally light. But who would have thought the company team building event would coincidentally be at the same location as their gathering? 3. After using the restroom, I happened to pass by a private room and, as luck would have it, spotted Ethan. His friends were teasing him. "Ethan, how come your significant other hasn't been bombarding you with calls or reminders this time? Did you two have a fight?" Ethan has a sensitive stomach, yet his friends always push him to drink, so whenever he goes out, I make sure to remind him to take it easy. Even if we did fight, it's not like it matters. She's almost 30, not 18 or 19. It's not like she'd dare to break up with me, right? The people around chimed in. "That's right, she's already turned into an old maid. Who would want her if you leave her?" "Ethan, if you ask me, you're just being too responsible. Otherwise, you'd have dumped her long ago and gotten together with Jessica." Ethan pinched the bridge of his nose, clearly irritated. "She's hinted at it so many times already. It's exhausting." So it wasn't that he didn't understand my desire to get married. He was just pretending not to know, avoiding the topic altogether. I shook my head and was about to leave when Jessica's voice came from behind me. "Chloe, you've tracked him all the way here? You're keeping Ethan on too tight a leash." As she spoke, she pushed open the private booth's door, and everyone turned to look at me in unison. Several of Ethan's friends exchanged glances, as if saying, "Look, she's followed him again." Ethan's eyes held an inscrutable meaning as he leaned casually against the sofa, projecting an air of complete certainty about his advantage. "Still putting on that righteous act this morning saying you wouldn't come, and now sneaking around to follow people. Since you're here, come in properly and greet us openly. What's all this skulking about like some shady character?" I had no intention of engaging, but suddenly recalling certain past grievances, I resolved that today of all days, I would settle the score. When Jessica returned, she boisterously called everyone to start playing a game where the loser would drink as punishment. I knew she deliberately wanted to leave me aside and make me uncomfortable, but as I scrolled through my phone and kept an ear on their commotion, I actually felt quite at ease. Suddenly there was another burst of noise from their side. It turned out Jessica had lost. Annoyed, she leaned halfway against Ethan, rubbing her temples. "Ethan, I'm so dizzy. I think I drank too much. Could you help me out?" Ethan must have had quite a bit to drink tonight. Hearing Jessica's words, he frowned at the row of liquor bottles before him. This scene overlapped with the welcome banquet for Jessica when she first returned a year ago. It was my birthday that day, but unusually, I couldn't find Ethan anywhere the entire day. Late that night, I got a call from an unfamiliar number, which I later learned was Jessica, saying Ethan had drunk too much and asking me to pick him up. When I rushed into the private room in a hurry, they burst into laughter. It turned out Jessica had lost at Truth or Dare and was deliberately messing with me. I got angry and was about to leave immediately, but Ethan leaned in and whispered a warning in my ear. "Chloe, everyone here is my friend. Don't embarrass me with that attitude." I still loved him deeply then, so I swallowed my grievances and sat back down. Later, just like tonight, Jessica drank as forfeit and turned to Ethan for help. But Ethan had already drunk quite a bit. Knowing Ethan's stomach wasn't strong, my heart ached for him. Between his pleading and coaxing, I ended up drinking the alcohol meant for him. Little did I know his friends seemed to get more excited, and Ethan kept losing as if cursed by bad luck, until I finally drank myself into the hospital. Yet he showed no gratitude, even thinking my hospitalization ruined their fun. "Chloe, look how miserable Ethan is. Aren't you supposed to be good at drinking? Come drink this for him." Returning to the present moment, Jessica said with an air of certainty, "Ethan, hurry up and call her over. She listens to you the most." Ethan stared fixedly at me, then casually waved me over with complete indifference. "I'm feeling terrible. Drink this for me." At long last, the moment had arrived. I curled my lips into a smile and walked toward them cheerfully. I directly picked up the opened bottle of liquor from the table. Ethan's friend whistled. "Didn't expect you to be this bold. Chug it, finish this whole bottle and we'll consider Ethan cleared." Amid their rowdy cheers, I carried the bottle to Jessica and, under her triumphant gaze, poured the alcohol over her head. After a stunned moment, she finally snapped to her senses and sprang up with a scream. "Chloe, are you crazy? Why did you pour water on me?" She swung her hand at me, which I violently swatted away, then promptly slapped her in return. "If you can't handle losing, then don't play. Get better if you suck. Stop acting all high and mighty every damn day. I'm not your mom, and I sure as hell won't clean up your mess every time." Jessica, seeing she couldn't gain any advantage, soaked from head to toe with tears welling in her eyes, tugged at Ethan's arm with wounded indignation. "Ethan, she's bullying me. She bullied me right in front of you. You have to stand up for me." Ethan's face darkened as he stepped forward and glared at me. "Chloe, you've gone too far. Get down on your knees and apologize to Jessica now, and I might pretend none of this ever happened." Without hesitation, I grabbed the wine glass from the table and splashed its contents onto Ethan's face. "Are you sober now?" I demanded. "I wasn't even part of your game, and I'm not the one who lost. So why the hell should I drink? Whose boyfriend are you? What is she to you? Flirting right in front of me. How shameless can you be?" Ethan's expression darkened further, his fists clenched tightly. "Chloe, must you make such a scene? If you keep acting this unreasonable and making trouble, we're through. Fine, let's break up." Strangely enough, once those words left my mouth, I felt no sadness at all, only an overwhelming sense of relief. Actually, when I dropped all those hints both overtly and covertly but he always avoided the topic, I should have realized he didn't love me that much. Yet, trapped in this situation, the thought of our 7 years together day and night made me unable to bear letting go. Until that day, his absence once again slapped me hard across the face, finally waking my deluded self. What I couldn't bear to part with wasn't necessarily Ethan, but those 7 years of youth, and the version of me who once threw caution to the wind for love. But compared to those 7 years, I still have decades of life ahead of me. Why waste it on someone who is unworthy? Ignoring their shocked gazes, I turned to leave. Ethan gripped my hand tightly. "Chloe, you should know when to stop fooling around. You know I don't fall for your push and pull games. Swallow your pride and admit you were wrong now, and I'll let it slide. Otherwise, if you walk out that door, we're done." "As you wish." I yanked my hand free and slammed the door shut with decisive force. This was the first time in the 7 years I'd been in love with Ethan that I left him with only the sight of my back. Returning to my private booth, I found my colleagues from the company already deeply immersed in their revelries. When I entered, they suddenly turned off the lights and wheeled out a 3-tiered cake. "Chloe, happy birthday." My voice caught unexpectedly, tears spilling before I could stop them. "See? This world isn't all rotten people and terrible things. Someone remembers your birthday. Someone brings you flowers and hugs." I pushed all those troubles aside and decided to celebrate my newfound single status. We had dinner and then went for a second round at karaoke. Ethan called a few times during that time, but I found it annoying and simply turned off my phone. By the time we wrapped up, It was almost midnight. The boss's friend was heading in the same direction as a few of us colleagues, so we shared his ride. Though just before getting in the car, I made a quick stop at the restroom. When I came out, the only seat left was the passenger seat. Hope you don't mind me asking, but does your girlfriend have any objections to me sitting in the front passenger seat? I've suffered enough grievances from the front passenger seat myself, so I don't want to cause trouble for others. I'm still single. If you know anyone suitable, feel free to introduce them to me. The boss's friend was named Leo, and just like his name suggested, he was extremely cheerful and talkative. At the entrance of the residential complex, Leo parked the car by the gate. I got out and bent down to thank him. Just as I turned around, I saw Ethan standing downstairs smoking, the ember of his cigarette flickering on and off. A pile of cigarette butts lay scattered on the ground. Who knew how long he'd been waiting there? I had already contacted the real estate agent about finding a place during the day, so I assumed he wouldn't be back tonight. I didn't pause for even a second as I passed by him, yet he called out to stop me. Who was the person who just dropped you off? I replied indifferently, a colleague. How could you ride in a male colleague's car, and even sit in the front passenger seat? Suddenly I found it somewhat amusing, and indeed, I laughed out loud. Is it not okay to go along the way? It's just a passenger seat. Why the suspicion? 5. What are you suspicious of? Suspecting if I've got something going on with him? A hint of awkwardness flickered across Ethan's face. I was just asking. His voice grew increasingly uncertain. Perhaps he was thinking about what had happened between him and Jessica before. Whenever we went out for an outing, he would invariably bring Jessica along, and she would unabashedly occupy the front passenger seat. There was once when I couldn't take it anymore and made a scene, and he straight up abandoned me at a highway rest stop. It's just a co-pilot. What are you being so dramatic about? I never thought he'd one day make a fuss about me sitting in someone else's passenger seat. How ridiculous. A sudden surge of vengeful pleasure rose in my heart. I ignored him and went straight to wash up. He followed behind until I came out, looking at me with mixed emotions. If you come back late in the future, call me and I'll pick you up. I looked at him with a half-smile. If I have to wait for you to come get me, who knows how long that would take. Last time when we returned from vacation in our hometown, the plane landed around 1 a.m. Ethan had promised to pick me up the day before. Even before I boarded the plane, I confirmed he was already on his way to pick me up, but after landing, I couldn't reach him anymore. I waited until dawn but he never showed, so I had to take a taxi home by myself. Later I learned that Jessica had gotten scared during a midnight thunderstorm and called Ethan to keep her company. That was the biggest fight we'd had since moving in together. We nearly broke up over it. But later, when I had a minor accident and he ran around taking care of me, my heart softened and I forgave him. My words left him speechless. His mouth opened and closed as he realized he had no defense. Just as I finished blow-drying my hair and grabbed a pillow to head for the guest room, he tugged at me with pitiful puppy dog eyes. Chloe, I came back early tonight. I know you didn't want me hanging out with them or drinking so much, and I listened to you. I barely ate anything tonight, and my stomach feels awful. I tried calling you but couldn't get through. I was utterly exhausted, yawning. Just be more careful in the future. I'm so tired. Let's talk tomorrow. That night, I slept soundly, no longer startled awake by his snoring. I slept so soundly that I overslept and was rushing through my morning routine to leave for work. To my surprise, Ethan emerged from the kitchen holding a plate of fried eggs and toast he'd prepared. Aren't you having breakfast? I woke up early specially to make this for you. I shook my head. I'm about to be late. Besides, I'm not used to this. I normally have oatmeal. After 7 years together, it had always been me doing the cooking. He'd never set foot in the kitchen before. He wasn't incapable after all. He simply preferred to indulge in having me serve him. I assumed he'd be furious, but instead he set down the plate and picked up the keys. Let me take you there, or you'll be late. In truth, before Jessica returned, Ethan drove me to and from work every single day. But later, he grew impatient. It's such a hassle to take a detour to drop you off every day. Taking the subway would be just as convenient for you. But while acting like he couldn't stand me, he'd go out of his way to drive Jessica clear across town. Jessica just got back and isn't familiar yet. I'll drive her for a while first. It wasn't driving people around that bothered him, just driving me around apparently. Seeing I was genuinely pressed for time, I didn't refuse his sudden attentiveness. I instinctively took the back seat when getting in the car. Chloe, why aren't you sitting up front? I glanced at the silk scarf draped over the passenger seat back and replied with my eyes closed. I prefer it this way. Starting timing please, let's go. I'm going to be late. Timing ends. He tried initiating conversation several times during the ride, but I deftly avoided each attempt. In the past, whenever I was in the car, I would chatter nonstop, eager to share everything I saw and heard with him. He replied impatiently, "Can you be quiet for a while? I need to focus on driving." Little did I expect that one day, he would become the incessant talker. Driving requires concentration, just focus on the road. I closed my eyes and feigned sleep, though in truth I couldn't comprehend Ethan's actions. Just last night he'd been so determined to possess me, declaring I belonged to him alone, yet before his friends he'd trampled me into the dust. Was he suddenly showering me with attention today simply because I'd so readily agreed to break up? At the company, just as I was about to get out of the car, Ethan called out to me, "Chloe, are you getting off work on time tonight? I'll come pick you up." I recalled the property details the agent had sent early this morning. Barring any surprises, I should be able to rent the place today. After 7 years together, no matter what, we owed each other a proper farewell, so I nodded in agreement. "All right, if you finish work early, go buy some groceries first. Let's have dinner at home tonight." His eyes lit up, lips curving into that handsome smile of his, probably thinking the silent war between us was finally coming to an end. Just as I stepped upstairs, my boss called me into his office. "The company is planning to establish a new branch in Chicago. You've delivered outstanding results in market expansion, and if I recall correctly, your family is based in Chicago too, so you'd be more familiar with the local environment. The company intends to appoint you as the head of operations there. Do you have any concerns?" As if by some divine providence, just when I wanted to leave Ethan, all the signs around me seemed to pave the way forward. I agreed without hesitation. My education, abilities, and achievements have never been lacking. I'd simply turned down many great opportunities to live a stable life with Ethan in the same city. I spent the entire day immersed in handing over my current workload, barely glancing at my phone until after work. I never expected Ethan to send me 99+ messages throughout the entire day, sharing flowers by the roadside, venting about work difficulties. These were all things I used to do routinely, while he'd often just reply with an MHM after half a day. When I answered his call, I could clearly hear the grievance in his voice. "Chloe, I'm downstairs at your place. Off work yet?" When I finally wrapped up work and got into the car, he hesitantly asked me, "Was work busy today? You haven't replied to my messages all day." I closed my eyes, genuinely exhausted from the long day. By the time I woke up, the car had already stopped downstairs with his jacket draped over me. He stood outside the car, a cigarette between his fingers, its ember flickering faintly, his brows furrowed as if lost in thought. I sat up and opened the door. "Why didn't you wake me when we arrived? You were sleeping so peacefully." "We have plenty of time, there's no hurry." Perhaps it was just my imagination, but I couldn't shake the feeling there was more to his words. Side by side, they went upstairs, turned on the living room light, and saw the dining table already laden with a spread of prepared dishes. 7. Noticing the surprise in my eyes, he pushed me into the bathroom. "You always had dinner ready for me before, but today I want you to try my cooking. Go wash your hands, I'll just heat it up and we can eat." Red wine, candlelight, and a table laden with delicacies, no effort had been spared. If Ethan had responded to that silly Chloe even once in the past 7 years, it would have been enough to keep her going. But no, not once. Ethan pours red wine into the glass before him, and we clink our glasses together. "Chloe, I want to tell you, I have something to say to you." Speaking in unison, I paused to let him go first. "Chloe, I didn't do well before, but I'll try harder from now on." His words were abruptly cut off by the clamorous ring of his phone. He glanced at me, hung up, and was about to speak again when the phone rang once more. I thought, a proper farewell seems impossible now. Go ahead and answer, in case it's something urgent. After a moment's hesitation, Ethan finally picked up the phone and stepped onto the balcony to take the call. When he came back inside, he kept his head down, looking like there was something he couldn't bring himself to say. "What's wrong?" "Jessica said someone's following her. She's terrified and wants me to come over." I nodded. It was what I'd expected. "Then hurry over there. A girl alone out there can really be in danger." Having received my reassurance, he seemed emboldened. Throwing on his coat, he rushed out the door in frantic haste. He glanced back at me before leaving. "Chloe, I'll be right back. Wait for me." Staring at the closed door, I picked up my chopsticks and began eating the now cold dishes bite by bite. I didn't feel sad or wronged, yet tears kept rolling down inexplicably. Letting go ultimately brings pain. Ethan didn't return all night. Early next morning, I packed my luggage and took one last look at the apartment I'd lived in for 7 years. Left only a note on the table. "Happy breakup. Farewell, Ethan. Farewell, my youth." 8. I grabbed my luggage and headed straight to the airport. Only after sitting down did I notice Leo seated beside me. "You are?" Leo waved at me, removing his earphones with a smile. "It seems your boss has kept something from you. Didn't he tell you that the Chicago branch was jointly funded by him and me? I'm practically your half-boss, so isn't it normal for me to personally oversee the work?" "Hello, boss. Hope you'll take good care of me from now on." We had such pleasant conversation along the way that even the initial sadness about letting go was unconsciously eased. My parents were surprised by my sudden return, but they didn't ask many questions and happily prepared a welcome home feast for me. All beginnings are hard, but soon all my energy was poured into the company's preparatory work. Leo is a man with both vision and determination. With our collaborative efforts, we obtained the business license in less than a month. It seems I've forgotten those 7 years, and that person too. Just one day before the celebration banquet, my mother suddenly called, urging me to return home right after work. Thinking something had happened at home, I rushed back only to find Ethan sitting bolt upright on the sofa. After living together for 7 years, we know everything about each other. It's no surprise at all that he knows my home address. When I entered, his eyes lit up, and he stood up nervously rubbing his hands. "You're back?" Mom and Dad thoughtfully gave us some space, and for a moment, there was silence in the air. "Why didn't you tell me you were coming home?" "I didn't see you at home and couldn't reach you by phone or social media. I searched everywhere until finally one of your colleagues told me you'd gone back to Chicago. When will you be done here? Let's go back together." He acted as if nothing had happened, as though he was certain I would never leave him. Only a month had passed, yet when I looked at him again, he felt utterly unfamiliar. "Ethan, didn't you see the note I left on the table? We're done. I'm not coming back." He wanted to play dumb and brush it off, but I was determined to wake him up. Ethan took an anxious step forward, reaching for my hand, but I dodged his grasp. "Why, haven't I treated you well?" he pleaded. 7 years together, and you're just going to cut it off like that? I stared at his face, decent looking, sure, but wondered why I'd been so blindly devoted all those years. "Are you good to me?" "Ethan, search your heart and ask yourself. For Jessica, you stood up my parents. You knew how dangerous it was to be out alone on a stormy night, yet you left me to tend to Jessica. You were afraid Jessica might feel hurt, but you could urge me to drink until my stomach bled. Even her dog was more important than me. Isn't it better this way now that we're apart? You don't have to struggle with how to deal with the old woman you've made me, and you can openly reunite with your old flame. Isn't that great?" Ethan, looking utterly disheveled, shook his head in agony. "No, Chloe, that's not how it is." 9. What I felt for Jessica was just the unwillingness to accept rejection from my youth. "The one I truly love is you. These days without you, I've been living like a walking corpse. I can't live without you." Facing his desperate pleas, not a single ripple stirred in my heart. "So your unwillingness justifies buying couple rings? Justifies sleeping together to feel satisfied? Can't you live without me? Or can't you live without me being your nanny and maid?" "Ethan, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Stop being so shameless. Just leave. Like you said, since we've broken up, let's not make it ugly. Think of it as honoring those 7 years we spent together." Ethan walked away dejected, his silhouette radiating desolation. But I had no time to spare for his feelings. I immediately turned to verifying the guest list for the victory banquet. The celebration banquet was a great success, and Leo was especially happy. By the time it ended, it was already late at night, and he insisted on driving me home personally. The night was chilly, and dressed in my evening gown, I sneezed immediately upon stepping out of the car. Leo kindly lent me his coat, but as I turned to go upstairs, I saw Ethan sitting on the steps. He reeked of alcohol, his face darkened. "Chloe, are you breaking up with me because of that guy?" There's no reasoning with a drunkard, so I tried to skirt around him to get home. He grabbed her and pinned her against the wall, his alcohol-laden breath drawing closer. Smack! I slapped him hard across the face. His eyes cleared instantly, then immediately darkened with rage. He grabbed the suit jacket off me and flung it into the corner, his hand sliding down my waist with bruising force. "Chloe, you forced me into this. If we have a child, maybe you won't leave me? You bastard. Ethan, you bastard, get away from me." The inherent disparity in strength between men and women left me drowning in despair as my gown was torn apart. Suddenly, a gust of wind, Ethan was knocked to the ground by a punch. Leo inexplicably turned back and picked up the suit from the ground, wrapping me in it. What kind of man forces a woman? Ethan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, sneering with a dark, twisted smile. "What? You want to pick up someone else's leftovers? Don't you know, Chloe and I slept together for 7 years. She's already worn out by me. You really want a second-hand piece like that?" Though I had long since given up hope, being insulted like that by the very boy I once remembered still made my blood boil. Ethan's reply was met with Leo's fist. "Didn't your mother teach you to respect women? If I ever hear you slander Chloe again, I'll beat you every time I see you." The drunken Ethan was no match for Leo and soon had his face beaten to a pulp. Seeing me at my most pathetic moment filled me with shame. Before entering, Leo called out to me, Chloe, you're the best girl in the world, smart and brave. Meeting a scumbag wasn't your fault. Leaving him was your good fortune. You deserve better." The tranquil lake in my heart rippled slightly. From that day on, Leo started picking me up and dropping me off daily, insisting on walking me to my doorstep and watching me enter before leaving, all under the guise of protecting me from harassment. There were a few times when my mother caught us, and she quietly teased me about it. This one seems much better than the last. At least he knows how to be thoughtful. I thought after that incident, Ethan would completely give up on me. Little did I know, a month later, I saw him again, standing in the square outside my office building. He had arranged a giant heart with flowers and balloons. The moment I stepped out of the office building, I saw him standing right in the center. He held a megaphone, shouting towards me, "Chloe, I love you. Chloe, today marks our 8th anniversary together. After all these years, despite our ups and downs, I promise to cherish and care for you always. Will you marry me?" The crowd, unaware of the truth, was moved by his passionate confession and began cheering for him. "Marry him, marry him." Leo stepped forward to intervene, but I held him back. "This is my problem to solve." I walked step by step toward Ethan, seeing the triumph gleaming in his eyes. When I approached, he held out a bouquet of flowers, knelt on one knee, and presented a diamond ring before me. "Chloe, I quit my job and followed you to Chicago. I hope we can have a second 8 years, a third 8 years, until we grow old together. Chloe, give me another chance, will you? Marry me." I immediately slapped him across the face. "What about your old flame Jessica? Didn't she say she couldn't live without you? What made her let you loose like a rabid dog?" "Chloe, nothing happened between Jessica and me." I couldn't help but sneer. "What exactly counts as something happening? Do I need to catch you in bed together for it to count? Let me ask everyone here. Would you want a boyfriend who shares the same straw while drinking with another woman, who gets called in the middle of the night to lull her to sleep, and who even abandons you halfway because of some other woman's dog?" The onlookers gasped in disapproval. "What a scumbag, and here he is pretending to be devoted. Those scumbags deserve each other, stay locked up together and stop ruining decent girls' lives." Amid the crowd's murmurs, Ethan's face grew progressively redder. He tugged at my sleeve, panic flashing in his eyes. "Chloe, that's not how it is. You're the one I truly love. My feelings for her faded long ago, she's the one who kept clinging to me." The moment his words landed, a figure came bursting through the crowd. 11, Ethan, how could you do this to me? I'm even carrying your child, and yet you're here proposing to her? What am I supposed to mean to you?" Seeing the smug look on Leo's face behind them, there was no need to guess. This was undoubtedly his handiwork. The more time she spent with him, the more she realized just how deviously cunning this man was. Jessica clawed at Ethan's face without hesitation. Watching the chaotic scene unfold before me, I cheerfully turned on my heel and walked away, with Leo tagging along eagerly behind. "Chloe, did I perform decently today? This move is called victory without bloodshed." I ignored him and kept walking straight ahead, yet he came chasing after me. "Chloe, considering I saved the day today, how about giving me a chance to treat you to dinner?" After the branch company got on track, I suddenly wanted to go abroad for further study. Before leaving, I finally gave Leo a chance to treat me to dinner. "Chloe, does agreeing to this meal mean I can pursue you?" During this period, Leo had been hovering around me constantly. As someone more experienced, I understood his intentions perfectly well. "But I've just come out of a failed relationship and I'm not ready to start a new one yet." "No, you can't. I came today to say goodbye because I'm going abroad to pursue my PhD. Leo forced a smile. "Congratulations." Reporting to school, everything proceeded smoothly. Then one day, I received a strange phone call. The caller claimed to be Ethan's friend, perhaps one of those shady pals he used to hang out with back then. "Chloe, I know a lot has happened between you and Ethan, but right now he's in the hospital unconscious. Could you come see him?" From his words, I pieced together the whole story. On the day I left the country, Ethan tried to come see me off but was stopped by Jessica. Jessica blocked his car and threatened that he'd have to run her over if he wanted to leave. No one knows what medication Ethan took, but he went completely mad and actually crushed his way through. Someone called the police, and officers gave chase. Ethan careened wildly until a car crash finally forced him to stop. Jessica suffered spinal injuries in the collision, lost the baby, and would spend the rest of her life bedridden. As for Ethan in the crash, his brain took severe damage, and he remains unconscious to this day. During this time, you're the one he's been thinking about the most. Please come back to see him, maybe then he'll find the will to live. Their ending may have been tragic, but they brought it upon themselves and can blame no one else. "No, Ethan and I broke up long ago. You might have even been there when it happened. He and Jessica loved each other so deeply. May they find happiness together in the end. Don't bother me anymore." I admit my thoughts were somewhat malicious, but so what? You reap what you sow. This was entirely their own choice. Adults should take responsibility for their own choices and actions. As for the love between Ethan and me, it ended forever on that night of torrential rain. A year later, when another school term began, I was busy guiding freshmen through their enrollment procedures. A voice sounded in front of me. "Chloe, long time no see." Sunlight filtered through the leaves, dappling the handsome face before me. I glanced at the admission letter he was handing me, and a smile slowly crept to the corners of my lips. "Leo, it's been ages, E&D."